Welcome to Boring Topics. Today we debut our new series, Forgotten Wars. We will first examine the Franco-Prussian War. As one of the few major post-Napoleonic wars of the 19th century, the Franco-Prussian War was unique in how it affected the future of Europe. This conflict is usually forgotten in the shadows of World War I and the American Civil War. At the start of the 19th century, there were dozens of German states, both small and large. The most influential German-speaking state was Prussia, which had begun to dominate the other German-speaking states and was rapidly expanding. Otto von Bismarck was then the Prime Minister of Prussia and had the driving desire to unite the dozens of German states into a single, powerful nation. The build-up to the Franco-Prussian War was the crowning achievement of Bismarck's realpolitik. After swiftly and decisively crushing the Danes and Austrians in two separate, small wars, Bismarck set his eyes on the last non-unified state. He also hungrily eyed the German-speaking regions of Alsace and Lorraine in France. These regions were rich in resources and had considerable industry built. Opposing him was the French Emperor Napoleon III, the nephew of Napoleon Bonaparte. Faced with urban unrest and the humiliating defeat in an attempt to place a puppet on the throne of Mexico, Napoleon III had watched with unease as Prussia ascended into a formidable European power. He welcomed the opportunity to squelch German unification and reassert France as a preeminent continental power of Europe. Bismarck moved carefully. Surrounded by potential foes, Prussia had to be careful to avoid a multi-front war. Bismarck also needed to carefully paint France as the aggressor in the eyes of world opinion and avoid British involvement. He needed a pretext that would cause war, but not position Prussia as the aggressor. The opportunity arose as the Spanish Parliament reached out to Prince Leopold, the nephew of Kaiser Wilhelm of Prussia. They wanted him to take over the vacant Spanish throne. This idea was intolerable to the French, who eventually pressured Kaiser Wilhelm to prevent his nephew from ruling Spain. The Kaiser acquiesced, but the French added an additional insult by demanding that all future claims to the Spanish throne be renounced as well. This insulting demand was rejected. Bismarck carefully edited a diplomatic telegram known as the Ems Dispatch to infuriate both sides. This clever ruse succeeded in generating rage in both France and Germany, but it was France that fell into the trap that Bismarck had so carefully set. France declared war on Prussia on July 19, 1870, and Bismarck and Napoleon III had their war. The French began with invading and seizing the city of Saarbrücken on the border. However, the speed of the Prussian mobilization and rapid counteroffensive quickly forced the French back into France. Several defeats led to the siege of Metz, as the French army commanded by Marshal Bazaine unsuccessfully fought several battles attempting to break out of the Prussian encirclement. The Battle of Sedan was the decisive battle of the war, as Napoleon III and Marshal MacMahon attempted to relieve the Prussian siege of Metz. However, they found themselves outmaneuvered and surrounded by Moltke. Despite several desperate attempts to break free, the French found themselves trapped and under relentless bombardment. Faced with the annihilation of the army, the French surrendered. The emperor was captured, along with 80,000 surviving French soldiers. This catastrophic loss, coupled with the surrender of Metz shortly thereafter, crippled the French ability to continue the war. Although the French formed the new republic and attempted to fight on, the writing was on the wall. Paris fell in late January after a long siege. An armistice was declared shortly afterward, and the Treaty of Frankfurt on May 10th, 1871 formally ended the war. The treaty ceded Alsace and Lorraine to the Prussians, in addition to a heavy war indemnity of approximately $342 billion in today's US dollars. To add insult to injury, the Prussians coronated their new emperor in the Hall of Mirrors at Versailles. Looking at the almost unbroken string of Prussian battlefield victories, it would be easy to assume that the Prussians had the entire technological advantage. While this is certainly true in regards to their excellent steel breech-loaded artillery, it was not true in regard to the small arms. The French chassepot rifle was a breech-loading, single-shot rifle that had far greater range and reliability than the Prussian needle gun. One estimate says that 70% of Prussian casualties were caused by rifle fire, while the majority of French casualties resulted from artillery fire. However, the artillery advantage counted for more, since the Prussian artillery would destroy the French artillery and then move up in support of the infantry. The results of the war directly rippled through time and helped to start the avalanche of the First World War. France was humiliated and angry since they had lost territory, had to pay a heavy war reparation, and had suffered the indignity of the Kaiser being crowned in the Hall of Mirrors at the Palace of Versailles. The now united Germany basked in its new role as the continental power of Europe. Meanwhile, the United Kingdom watched the ascendancy of Germany with unease. To the east, the Russians noted this new power and its potential interests in their sphere of influence in Eastern Europe. All the great powers watched as the war proved relatively quick and decisive. In the end, the Franco-Prussian War helped to spread the seeds of World War I by making the French resentful and giving the false impression that modern wars would be swift and decisive. This would have disastrous consequences as the great powers of World War I raced to war, expecting a swift conclusion, not the horrible quagmire of the Western Front. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe.